What's up, everybody? We have some official Elden Ring DLC news straight from the mouth of From Software, but unfortunately, it's probably not the news you want to hear. Now, usually I would tell you to hop on board to the hype train that we're going full throttle, full speed ahead, but right now I would probably recommend that you disembark at the next station because Kitao, the marketing manager at From Software, had an interview at the PlayStation Awards, and what he had to say tempered my expectations, to say the least. Now let's see how the interview went. So the interviewer is asking, it has received high praise and sales all over the world and has become a representative work of From Software in both name and reality. Please tell us your thoughts on the support from players. And Mr. Kitao responded, we were also surprised that so many people were playing the game, which we didn't expect. There are no words more than gratitude. I'm really grateful. And that goes with the Japanese culture. They're always very humble people, which is a fantastic thing. Now the interviewer is asking, almost 2 years has passed since its release, but when you look back on the work Elden Ring, have you noticed any changes in your way of thinking about production? So Mr. Kitao said, basically our stance on development has not changed. Our long-standing stance has been to work diligently to create something interesting and valuable. Keep in mind, this is Google Translate, so there will be some errors. Now, the interviewer said, I believe you moved to a new office, but does the huge success of Elden Ring have something to do with it? Also, how has your system changed since you moved? And Mr. Kitao responded, even before the release of Elden Ring, the main reason was that the office was becoming too small for the number of people. The aim was also to create an environment where they could concentrate more. The development environment itself is still in its infancy, but it is improving. Now, the burning question on everybody's mind. I think there are many users who are looking forward to DLC. How is the development progress? And Mr. Kitao is saying, I will talk about the DLC another time. It's still a little ways off, but progress is going well. Like Bloodborne, it has new battles and new characters. Please look forward to new things. Now, it's a very simple statement, but there's a lot to unpack. Because of the translation issues, the sentence about Bloodborne is quite confusing, but someone on Twitter wrote that the meaning could be something else entirely. First, let's talk about it's a little ways off. It looks like the timing of this interview is telling because the Game Awards is less from a week from now, and I believe, and everybody believed, that we were going to see a trailer for Shadow of the Erdtree, Elden Ring's DLC, at the Game Awards. However, it seems like this interview is there to temper expectations. It looks like it might take a little bit longer. I am like everybody else. I was thinking originally that it was going to release in February, March, something like that. It looks like we might have to wait just a little bit more. And a week ago, I started getting a little bit sketched out about a reveal at the Game Awards, and I actually mentioned it in my previous video. Here's a quick snippet, and it just makes sense that they would show it at the Game Awards. However, I'm starting to get a little bit sketched out. And the reason why is that usually you'll have some leak of some sort regarding what's going to be shown at the Game Awards, especially regarding From Software. I mean, we knew that Armored Core 6 was in development for a long time before it was shown, and it was assumed that it would be at the Game Awards, even though a lot of people had no idea it was even in development. So the fact that we haven't heard any whispers from the usual people that cover these things and leak what's going to be shown, it's kind of concerning. So like I said 3 days ago, I was starting to get sketched out because usually these things, they leak. I'm very on top of leaks and rumors. I find that so interesting, so I make sure to stay on top of everything, and I hadn't seen anything about Elden Ring showing up at the Game Awards. Now, don't get me wrong, it might still show up. There's still a possibility, but don't expect a February release date after Kitao uses verbiage like this. Like when he says it's a little ways off, it doesn't sound like it's coming in the next couple months. But then again, it's just speculating. But let's talk about the second sentence, where he said, like Bloodborne, it has new battles and new characters. And now that just sounds so incredibly generic, not very helpful, but there might be more that meets the eye, because someone on Twitter mentioned that this is an error in translation. And what he meant to say is that there has been some development issues, some challenges, just like Bloodborne's DLC. Now, I wasn't aware that Bloodborne's DLC had challenges to overcome, but I wasn't really following From Software that much back then, so I might have missed that. And it would make sense that the DLC would take longer because the main game took so long, so incredibly long, that people were starting to doubt it was real, and they have such big shoes to fill. I mean, there was a wave of videos that appeared a few weeks ago that were speculating the size of the DLC's map, and the expectations are huge. I mean, people are expecting it to be half of the game, and it quite might well be, but maybe that's why it's taking much longer. I mean, Elden Ring is definitely their most ambitious title. They had to delay it, even though it was just a couple months, and it is extremely ambitious, took a lot of manpower, but it definitely paid off for them as a developer and for us as the player. So I think going into the Game Awards next week, we are going to need to temper our expectations. I'm sure they will show something. Maybe it'll be a teaser about Shadow of the Erdtree, or at this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if it was a DLC announcement for Armored Core 6. I mean, nothing would surprise me after reading this interview. And if that's the case, then I'll be perfectly fine with that because Armored Core 6 is absolutely awesome and it deserves more content. Now, it looks like after taking obviously more than 2 years, because from this interview it looks like we're not getting this in February or March, it's going to be a soft reboot of the game, kind of like what Cyberpunk did with their expansion, and I'm sure it's going to bring in a ton of new players. Now, don't shoot the messenger. I know it wasn't the news you wanted to hear today, but I'm just here to tell you the truth. Whether it's bad news or good news, we're in here together and we shall suffer together until it releases. Now, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get all the news and the leaks regarding From Software, and I'll see you guys on the next one.